What's up, Bookies.com? Jasmine McKoy here, and I am joined by a very special guest, Will Blackmon, 12-year NFL vet, Green Bay, the Giants, the Jaguars, and finished in Washington, Super Bowl 46 champion. And it's just an honor to be speaking with you. Thank you for joining us.
No, Jasmine, thank you so much. I appreciate this call.
Yeah, and so I definitely, the first thing I have to talk about is a couple of my colleagues, Lauren, Brian, and Steve, are all big Eagles fans. And I saw that you did some work with the Cowboys. I wanted to know what brought you there and how was your time in Dallas?
Well, they really must not like me because I play for the Giants and the Redskins, and now I work with the Cowboys. So I ended up taking part in an internship that is offered to current coaches and that are not in the NFL and also former players. And so I took part in the internship. It's the Bill Walsh Fellowship program, where I get to spend the whole entire offseason with the team. And I applied to all 32 teams just to, put my name out there. And the Cowboys was the first team to call. And ironically, head coach Mike McCarthy, he drafted me when he was in Green Bay. I was part of his first draft class. And the cornerback coach is Al Harris, who was my veteran in Green Bay as well. So a lot of connections there. And I accepted it. And so, yeah, I was there from May all the way to beginning of September. I was there the whole time working with the defense, working with special teams, and I spent some time in the front office. So the main reason I did it is because at first I didn't have any interest in coaching or front office, and then later on, after I retired, I started to think about it a little more because I currently spend time and consult with a lot of current NFL guys, and I help agents get their guys ready for the draft and combine. And so this was a way for me to find out, like, was I ready to get back to that day-to-day grind? Because some of my days were like 7 a.m. to like 8 p.m. Like they were nuts, but I still had fun. So doing that whole internship, it was an unbelievable place to work, unbelievable place to go. Staff, players, everyone who works there was awesome. Now I do have like a desire to, like, okay, when hiring season comes in February, like I'm probably gonna put my name in the hat for sure.
Hey, I like that. I like that. And so you went from playing, and then I saw a little bit you did some on camera work with as an NFL analyst. Now you've done some coaching, and then wine. I saw wine was in your bio. Kind of what got you into the wine industry?
Yeah, so with wine, I enjoyed what I was playing, and then I started to get more curious and wanted to know more about just the not just the lifestyle, but the wine culture. And so I started studying, reading books, magazines, what have you, to learn more about the wine world. And I stumbled upon that movie Song, where the guys are training to be master sommeliers, and I was like, man, that's pretty dope. So one off season when I was playing in Washington, I came back home and ended up taking a couple of courses, the WSET, which is Wine and Spirits Education Trust, and Quarter Masters, of CMS. I took both of those exams and passed both of them, and then just really got excited about just learning about the world of wine. And then, I wanted to start. I wanted to be in the want to start a business in the wine world. And my first thought was, like, do I want to do a wine label? And initially was, I didn't want to do it just yet. And so I was like, how can I take all of my resources in the wine space and offer them to, like, all my friends or whoever in my community? And so I decided to create the Wine MVP, which is a wine concierge club. And so I help people with trips and travel. I do private dinners, private events, corporate events, you name it, seller inventory. And then this year we just launched our subscription club. So now actually, before you called, I was picking the wines for the rest of the year. So I pick 4 bottles each month that you can buy and ship to your house monthly or quarterly.
Okay. See, I'm not too big into wine. I really want to expand my palate, but I'm like a I'm a sweet gal. I'm like Moscato everywhere. So if you have any
Which is
recommendations,
no, which is you know what's interesting though is if you're not truly into wine, but you will dabble, usually most people, from what I've learned, including myself, I started off with a sweeter wine. And so I like Riesling, I like Moscato, I like Gewürztraminer, like the sweeter wines. Or like if it's a red wine, it's a red blend and probably more like on the fruity side versus like the really dry, bold, strong wines. Like I didn't go there for a couple years. So that is totally the norm. You're good.
well, I'm gonna definitely have to connect with you on that. Another thing I wanted to talk about was your work with the Blackmon Football Academy, and it's a camp that you do for young kids. How do you see yourself taking some of those things that you're doing with them? Has that influenced why you want to put your name back in the hat for NFL coaching?
Yeah, so we first started the Will Blackman football camp, excuse me, I want to say I think 2015 or 14. So it was long overdue for me to do something back home. I just couldn't find the right people to align with my vision. This wasn't about, how can we capitalize and monetize, the market in Rhode Island where I'm from. This is about how can we bring like cool, fun football experiences to the community. So the Will Blackman football camp launched, and we had over like 300 kids, and it's a free camp. So we do 2 sessions. Ages 7 to 10 is the first one. I think the second was 11 to 14. So we did that for a few years, and I dawned on me too. I was like, man, I know being from Rhode Island is really hard to get recruited and get seen. And we all the smallest state, in the whole country. So, and I remember like I got noticed because I went out to a bunch of camps. And so again, I took a bunch of my resources and met with some people and created a combine for high school kids. Now this one was paid just because we had to, pay for the whole setup. So we did charge the kids to come there, but the cool thing is we brought in, Northeast Sports Training, which is where I trained when I lived when I was back home in Rhode Island. They did the whole combine when they did the testing for everyone. And then we invited a bunch of college coaches to be there, which is the main thing, to be seen. And it's cool because a lot of kids there were discovered who you would have never ever heard of because they came from like lower level schools. And like I think 2 kids were able to get scholarships from that, so that was pretty cool. And then haven't done it in a while, a few years. COVID obviously was a big indicator why we couldn't. So, but definitely plan to bring it back in 24 and just really make it a whole weekend. So that's been a driving force in that. And then I know you mentioned the academy is just more so like it's just educational. People reach out to me for like training and stuff like that. So that's more so what the academy part is.
Alrighty, and so now I want to kind of shift gears a little bit and talk some football and kind of like maybe have you dig into your analyst reporter bag a little bit. And I kind of just want to talk to you about the current state of the NFL. So many young guys in here making their name in the league. Kind of your thoughts. Anybody that catches your eye, maybe a future rookie of the year candidate.
Um, like currently in the NFL, gosh, I mean, I'm a big just based on what he did in school and what he's doing already is Bijan Robinson. I think he's just an instant impact for the Falcons. That's something they needed. They needed like they need a legit like playmaker to come out the backfield. Somebody in that, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon realm. So I've been a big fan of him. I met him actually when I was working at Fox. He came into the studio with his agent, um, which was really cool. It's just an unbelievable character, great kid, and you can tell he's all positive. So I'm a big fan of what he's doing right now already.
And as for current teams, I know you've played with a couple of them. Do you have any loyalty to one team in particular?
Look, I'm the worst. I just whoever wins that weekend, that's who I root for.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, but mainly being that I played on multiple teams, I root for my friends. You know what I'm saying? So being there, I met so many people, and so I keep track of what they're doing, and I root for them. And then, but really, when I sit back and watch football, I just want a good game. That's really what I love to watch. I love football.
And I was about to say, because I mean, even with the Commanders and then your time a little bit with the Cowboys, I was about to say they're 2-0. I mean, they're doing good.
Doing all right.
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk a little bit about when you played. Were there any particular pre-game rituals that you had to do every time before the game so that you could, kind of feel good and play good?
What's funny is I just spoke to a high school the other day, high school basketball team, Cream Lutheran is a school, and I just spoke to them about just like teamwork, camaraderie, and all that stuff, and I gave my whole story. And I kind of I knew like having a routine was important, but I remember one night before we played the Raiders, I think this was when I aged myself a bit. This was 2007 when we played the Raiders, and I got like 2 hours of sleep the night before, and just wasn't well rested. I didn't have like all my stuff. I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna go play. I ended up having like 2 special team touchdowns that game, and it was one of my best games as a special teamer before I became a full-time starter on defense. And it just, it was kind of like, yeah, I can have like routine things I would do, but at the end of the day, like as long as I was prepared, I was good. So my routine actually was how I prepared from Sunday through Sunday. So Sunday after the game until Sunday to the game. So as long as I did my stuff during the week, then it was kind of like, if I went to the game and I didn't have my lucky rabbit foot, like I wasn't going to be tripping. Like I wasn't so caught up on that. I just felt so prepared that whatever, if I got 2 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep, it didn't really matter. Now I will watch like some college games, and I will always get like pasta and have like a glass of wine or something the night before. That's something that I did do. I will always watch highlights of players that I admire. Like I would do that kind of like visualization stuff. And I did goal set. So I did write some stuff down prior and read it the night before.
Did you have a favorite NFL teammate that you're like, yeah, this is a guy that I'm gonna always remember, or you guys built a strong friendship?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, the whole secondary when I was in Green Bay, with Nick Collins, Tremont Williams, Charles Woodson, Al Harris, Pat Lee, like Jared Bush. Like we had such a fun group. I mean, we were in Green Bay, so there was honestly nothing to do but hang out with each other. And so we got super close, and we had a lot of fun. And to this day, I'm still very close with majority of them. I mean, Tremont Williams is cool. He sends me a Bible message every morning, some scripture. Literally every morning he sends out a text. And then I was just in Dallas. Al Harris, I mentioned Coach there, and Charles Woodson. He and I still stay in touch. So that's a group that's always going to be super special.
And I want to say I read something, I don't know if it was wine related, about Reggie Bush and your something about you guys.
Oh yeah, so when I first started the whole wine MVP thing, I was doing cellar inventory, so helping people set up their wine cellars. And Reggie Bush and Matt Ryan were the first two I reached out to, and they were like, "Yeah, like I have a cellar, like let's do it." So those were two that I helped initially, so that's why I mentioned them.
Okay, okay. And then let's talk about your Super Bowl championship. Can you take me back to the time and when that moment happened, the confetti's, coming down on the field?
Yeah, no, it was like a movie, simply because like I mentioned, growing up, I was just a diehard football fan. Like I never missed a Super Bowl. So the Super Bowl was super important to just not just myself, my family. We would sit down and watch it, and like anyone else, it was a big event. But for us, it was pretty serious. And I remember the year before in 2010 when I was on the Packers, I got cut from the Packers, and they actually won the Super Bowl that year. So that was pretty tough because I was there all 4 years building that team, like going through everything, going through the war, going through the trenches. And I just knew that was the year like we were supposed to win, and they ended up winning and I wasn't there. And so go to New York the following year was pretty cool, and to not just like win it, but like have my entire family there, my father, my brother, my wife and my son, who was one at the time. Like that was pretty dope and super special. So that was literally, it was like a movie. Like even the game was such a blur. Like just so much went on. The 2 weeks was exhausting. Like we were just ready to play the game. So that was unbelievable, and totally would never forget that.
Yeah, I bet, man. I can't imagine winning something that everyone could dream of. Even if you making it to the NFL is hard, let alone winning a championship and being a part
Right.
of that is, I bet, a feeling that is
So
un.
yeah, a lot of legends don't have one. It's a lot of guys like, man, I would give everything back just to get a Super Bowl. So that's pretty. It was pretty unique and pretty special. And to just not just be part of the team, but like be a contributing factor in that, like playing the game, like that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And do you have any idea on maybe who you think you could see in the Super Bowl this year? Any early projections?
Right now, I mean, Dallas is full steam ahead. I think they're going to meet head to head with the Niners in the playoffs again. And it's going to be a really, really cool situation. That's barring them staying healthy. And in the AFC, I mean, right now, sure, Miami is the hot team right now. People are waiting on Kansas City to truly figure it out. I mean, they did pull out a good win versus the Jaguars. So as long as Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback and Andy Reid's the head coach, I'm never going to rule them out. So maybe a Dallas and Kansas City Super Bowl in Vegas. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like Miami's coach. He seems very funny. He seems very personable. Um,
Yeah.
but what do you think for a team like Kansas City? What it like as a player in your experience, kind of you go from being at the top and you're kind of struggling a little bit in the preseason. Like what things do you have to do as a player to kind of get over that little hump?
Well, the biggest thing is you have to just understand the situation is, you've been king of the AFC for a while now, and it's very hard to win. That's why it's funny when people get upset, like the Patriot fatigue, when they just kept winning, like, oh, let somebody else win. It's like, I respect that because it's so hard to win. It's so hard to stay that good for so long, especially with free agency and the cap and all kinds of things going on. Like just to be able to keep a team intact, and obviously for the Patriots, Tom Brady taking less money was a big deal. And so, with Kansas City, everyone is studying you. Everyone's trying to find out your weakness. Everyone's trying to find ways to attack you and beat you. Like you have a target. So um, I think for Kansas City, it's just having awareness of knowing that and self-studying and then getting back to the basics of what made you good. And I think, having that tough loss to Detroit at home and then bouncing back versus the Jaguars, who people are big fans of this year. They think the Jaguars are gonna make some noise in the playoffs, but to come back and have that kind of win, I think Jaguars only scored 9 points, I think it was, something like that. That was huge.
And then what about that Jaguars team with Trevor Lawrence? Like, what do you think are some of those things that make them so favorable?
Well, Trevor is he's a legit franchise quarterback in terms of not just his ability, obviously throwing and being an athletic runner, but just he has the leader qualities you look for. He's very stoic, man. He's totally unfazed, and um, he's a competitor. So I think just having that is huge. And then pairing him with Doug Peterson, who, obviously he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. He understands the quarterback position as well as anyone, learned under Andy Reid. So I think those two, with the culture there they have the talent to keep being competitive. I think that they're going to be okay, but it's tough. It's a tough league, so they're going to be good.
And then my last question for you is obviously we might have talked about it already, but I won't answer for you. But your best NFL memory so far?
My best NFL memory, I mean, yeah, right. It was winning the Super Bowl, but to but to finally, just get drafted, even though, I thought I'd go higher in the draft, but to finally like enter the NFL was huge, just because I never I never dreamt of getting there. I dreamt of like pretending and imagining I was there, but I never thought it was actually possible. Just because I thought it was impossible to get there. And so just to finally get there from Rhode Island was huge. And then to, survive 12 years was massive.
That is very massive. And I said so far, just in case, with you throwing your name in the hat, there might be some
You
more
never
Super
know.
Bowls in your future. So I wanted to say so far, speaking it into existence, right?
Right, right.
Well, thanks so much, Will, for joining us here at Bookies. We definitely appreciate your time and good luck with hopefully a possible coaching career.
No, I appreciate it, Jasmine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.